Okay. Videos, stuff. Is that everything? I am sorry for being late. They had to consume some food. Okay. Okay. So let people see things. Then go to the code review chat. No, this is a chat we already did. Yeah. Okay. What else is there? That's general inquiry. Code review. Okay. Here we go. That's one done. So jump and dash are out of the input manager. Other than get attack, are there any unused things? Okay. Did I move the scale stuff to the scale component? Excellent question. Also moved, yes. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Okay, then what else is there? What else can I look for? In the full project, is there any code that can be shortened or cleaned up? If not, what did I ask you to remind me of? Okay. I can change the files, which would require the personal access token. Get help. Okay. I want to move. Oh, push a branch. Just want to make sure I'm not doing anything stupid. Again. Of course, it wouldn't let me. Get help. Code review. Uh, jump, scale, and dash have been moved into their own components. It can move into their own components. And now reference the input manager. Okay, that's hide that so you guys don't see the pack. Find where I hid my pack. Okay, that is done. Um, is it set up actually on location? Okay, and the next thing is get checked out main, I think. Okay, so now reload, because I believe everything should be back to what it was before. Yes, okay, that's normal, that's reasonable. Um, okay, let me finish making that video. So I realized something when I was making that video is that I am not done recording audio. Because of course I'm not. Uh, I need to record that section. So, run session, other. So I was supposed to make this thing actually say something about attack buttons, but I forgot about that part because I forgot. Um, but other than that, yeah. Okay. So what else did I need for this recording portion? Not the other side. No, wrong side. Okay. Then I need uh, either I upload this video today after the stream when I get the stock footage, or tomorrow, and then I can work on either another video or more coding. I might work on another video just to have more than one video out there. Mm-hmm. Okay. What else? Video. Okay. No, I don't need OBS. I need Ardor. I need Caden later. I need the PowerPoint presentation now, so I can understand what the heck I'm doing. World building, PowerPoint, or I guess open document presentation, which is better than PowerPoint, minus the part you can't work online. Uh, that's just my decision. Okay, so Managing inputs. Wait, what happened to the... Oh, wait, no, it's gone because of me changing what slide you're going on from the get change. Or, yeah, anyways. I probably only need this slide and, like, kind of... I need to mention these buttons and then these, like, combination buttons that I decided to make, kind of, that are terrible, but sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Script. Do I have it in the script or no? Move list variable management. How do I want to talk about this? Mm-hmm. I seem to not have anything for that. Amazing. Yep. Um, I'm working with attack buttons. We do want more than one input to be read at the same time. Working with the attack buttons, we do want more than one input to be read at the same time. For things like punch plus kick, light punch plus light kick in Street Fighter 6. Or 3 buttons in Guilty Gear equals Roman cancel. Alright, is that the input for Roman cancel? I forget, because I did not memorize them. Guilty Gear Roman cancel input. Roman cancel. Any 3 attack buttons, yeah. I have EX moves denoted in purple for this, and then like combination of ground, and this would be drive impact. The mediums, maybe. Damn. Alright, mediums. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. I want to talk about this. Is this it? Um, is that it? Is that all I want to show? Um, okay. Which do I put? I'll put this here and this there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's record this then. However, when we're working with the motion, god damn it. No, die. That was terrible. Okay. However, when we're working with attack buttons, we do actually want to keep more than one input read at the same time. For example, light punch plus light kick in Street Fighter gives you a grab, or pressing 3 buttons in Guilty Gear gives you a Roman cancel. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games as well. Okay. Mm-hmm. Immediately, I don't need that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Some games allow for these to also be separate inputs, and in the case of my game, I decided to use 2 inputs and combine them into a third new input, which you can see in the code. Is that a good way to say it? I don't know. Um, um, mm, so how do I want to? Okay, I showed examples, but now I need to shows doc footage. How do I want to explain it visually? Here is a visual example of how I did it for my project. Okay. Here's a visual example for how I did it for my project. Show the 4 attack buttons. Okay. Then what would it be? It would be these 4. Then I would want to explain this. How I did for my project. Show the 4 attack buttons. Then so here's a visual example of how I did for my project. Starting with 4 attack buttons. When I press 2 of them, I read that as both press and a third combined input is press. Its length there is a ghost button. Between each button, each pair. Okay. Like the red one for punch and kick, that one's actually faded in almost a ghost button, but the purple and red one isn't faded at all. I could, not animation effects, but like properties, edit style, color gradient. Okay, but I'd like, I don't know, fading or transparency in here. Transparency. Transparency, 50%. That did nothing. Okay. That's a little annoying. All right, let's record this one. This part, I forget. Is my volume on mute? We do actually want to keep more than one input read at the same time. For example, light punch plus light kick in Street Fighter. However, when we're working with attack buttons, we do actually want to keep more than one input read at the same time. For example, light punch plus light kick in Street Fighter gives you a grab. Or pressing 3 buttons in Guilty Gear gives you a Roman cancel. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. Over here. For my project, I use 4 buttons, as shown here. I already didn't know where to go from that. When 2 of them are pressed at the same time, I create a new third option that's been pressed that's kind of a ghost button. I don't actually know how to describe this at all. How do I describe this? When 2 buttons are pressed at the same time, I read this as 3 inputs. I think that is the best for me. Yeah, pressed at the same time, I read it as 3 inputs. Inputs. Okay. So if I do that, print screen, I take a photo of this, I put some shape on here. That's like a circle and a circle. Transparent, probably. Edit style. Does your transparency actually matter? Yes. Okay, that's two things. Read this as three inputs. Like so. When two buttons are pressed at the same time, I read this as three inputs. Like so. Like this. They're pressed at the same time, I read this as three inputs. Like this. Okay. That would be some images, some of the images. Then okay. Hmm. Alright. So we've explained that we have these. Uh-huh. Um, I'll explain for my game. I'm currently unsure of what to use yet. But I have set it up so that I can create two new inputs, or one new input from each combination of two, around in the following shape or something. Mm. Uh, for my game, and I'm still in the early stages, so I'm not sure which buttons I would be using, but these are the buttons that I currently have set up in code. Don't like that. Mm. The thing is, there's no like heavy punch, light kick, or heavy kick, light punch thing, or any three combinations for this specific example. Um, mhm, mhm, okay, mm, mm, okay. Mhm, uh, mm. Let's name this extra button EX punch. Okay, and then after I name that one, Um, we can also have light punch kick, heavy punch kick, and EX kick. And EX. That is so much space. All of that back. We can also have light punch kick, heavy punch kick, and EX kick. EX kick. And EX kick. Mm-hmm. Would I show the letters with them? Maybe. Mm. Okay. Mm. To do this in code, it's fairly similar to the if statement version of the input management for movement. However, the main difference is instead of being exclusive, we are actually allowing and checking all of the options. I really don't like how I speak there. Mm. To do this in code, we check if the two buttons are pressed. If so, then we add the third button, and then we do the same for all the buttons, and also just add the buttons that were pressed. Mm. To do this in code, we add all the buttons that are pressed, and then we also add the ghost buttons that are pressed as well from the combination of buttons pressed, which is the part that is the worst. That are pressed, and then we also add the ghost buttons that are... Do I call them ghost buttons? Ghost buttons feel terrible. Then we add... To do this in code, we add all the buttons that are pressed, and then add all the extra buttons. Then add the extra buttons when two or more are pressed. Mm. And we add these extra buttons when two or more other buttons are pressed. All the buttons that are pressed, and we add these extra buttons when two or more other buttons are pressed. Okay. Is that the part? for the most part. Why is every single other thing no? Okay, that makes no sense. Okay, do I have all my visuals? Let me move this stuff from where they are in pictures, screenshots, scroll down. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Nah, or that one. This one. This one. This one. And then the for this one. Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move them all the way into the video stuff. It should be just JPEG, I think, right? No. Okay, not that one. We'll just add them manually. They are in stuff anyways, so. Okay, what about the ordering? Also, is that all the content needed for the buttons being pressed or not? Um, so if I were to order it, it would probably be this, this. Oh, it doesn't fit. Okay, wonderful. And then I need the code. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I'm missing. Um, input manager code. Do I include the line number? I don't know. Reading is open. Put that to the left. Right. Files is open. Go back to pictures, screenshots, all the way to the bottom. This one, edit, and then close, open, put it in after. And of course, it's not even in the right spot. So maybe I should move it just in case things go bad. Though I suspect this will cause some problems right now. Howdy, YouTube, edited content, work in progress, stuff. What's that? Okay. Hmm. To do this in code, we add all the buttons that are pressed, and we add these extra buttons when two or more as in the graph of the code, I suspect. Alright, this is audio fine. I'll full screen and just edit it, and I should save. However, when we're working with attack buttons, we do actually want to keep more than one input read at the same time. For example, light punch plus light kick in Street Fighter gives you a grab. Or press I'm cutting that off. Light kick in Street Fighter gives you a grab. Or pressing 3 buttons in Guilty Gear gives you a Roman cancel. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. For my project, I use 4 buttons, as shown here. When 2 buttons are pressed at the same When 2 buttons are pressed at the same time, I read this as 3 inputs. like this. It has 3 inputs, like this. Let's name this extra button EX punch. We can also have light punch kick, heavy punch kick, and EX kick. These gaps are big. To do this in code, we add all the buttons that are pressed, and we add these extra buttons when 2 or more other buttons are pressed. How do I end this sentence? Damn it. And we add these extra buttons when 2 or more other buttons are pressed. When 2 or more other buttons are pressed. And we add these extra buttons when 2 or more other buttons are pressed. We can then treat these extra buttons as regular buttons for motion inputs or whatever else you feel like using them for. We can then treat these extra buttons as regular buttons for motion inputs or whatever else you feel like using them for. Escape. Okay. So what I say is punch kick, light punch kick, heavy punch kick, and EX kick. Which in the PowerPoint, this light punch kick, heavy punch kick, EX kick. So these, okay, that ordering. That means in Kden I should label them, which means this is going to be a decent chunk. Add on top insert title. Does this cover the entire thing? No, okay. This doesn't have to be so big. I just want to move it. Okay. Add text here. Do I go punch kick and then punch kick? Punch kick, heavy punch kick, light punch kick. Also not there. Wait, is there no undo in here? Oh, that's terrible. Okay, update title. Yeah. Then when I put the audio in, we can put that all in. Alright. And then it would be good. Mm-hmm. Okay. Order, am I missing anything? We can then treat these extra buttons as regular buttons for motion inputs or whatever else you feel like using them for. I think I could pause and then end here. Alright, session, save, export this as an MP3. Okay. And Caden, I could have used that folder. Alright, let's do some editing. The current game. However, when we're working with attack buttons, we do actually want to keep more than one. First off, move so much of this over and put red at the same time. For example, light punch, light stick in Street Fighter gives you a grab, or pressing 3 buttons in Guilty Gear gives you a Roman cancel. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. For my project, I use 4 buttons. For my project, I use 4 buttons, as shown. For my project, I use 4. In time with Gabriel. For my project, I use 4 buttons, shown here. When 2. Okay. 4 buttons, as shown here. When 2 buttons are pressed at the same time, I read this as 3 inputs. When 2 buttons are pressed at the same time, I read this as 3 inputs. At the same time, I read this as 3 inputs, like this. See, that was not the editing menu. My gosh, that's why this was so many. Three inputs, like this. Like this. Let's name this extra button EX Punch. You can also have light punch kick, heavy. Let's name this extra button EX Punch. We can also let's name this extra button like this. Let's name this extra button EX. Let's name this extra button EX. Let's name this extra button EX Punch. Okay. You can also have light punch kick, heavy punch. On the other letters. We can also have light punch kick, heavy punch kick, and EX kick. At least to here. Voice speaking again. To do this in code, we add all the buttons. Let me cut this just so I can add a little bit more spacing. I can't, because I need to move things. Too much spacing. Just a bit. To do this in code, we add all the buttons that are pressed, and we add these extra buttons when 2 or more other buttons are pressed. We can then treat these extra buttons as regular buttons for motion inputs or whatever else you feel like using them for. Which I don't have code for as shown. So I'll just keep the text on here for the code. Or whatever else you feel like using them for. I think that gap is too long. Like using them for. Thank you for watching. I stream on YouTube and Twitch just during the summer, and I currently have a character prototype on itch.io. My full project is on GitHub under the name fightvaina. Current game. However, when we're working with attack buttons, we do actually want to keep more than one input read at the same time. For example, light punch plus light kick in Street Fighter gives you a grab. Or pressing 3 buttons in Guilty Gear gives you a Roman cancel. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. For my project, there's a stutter in there. Street Fighter gives you a grab. Or pressing 3 buttons in Guilty Gear gives you a Roman cancel. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. Other different nations in a bunch. Here. And here. Other different games. Cancel. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. Can I get just different, just cut different out there? A lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. There's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. Yeah, it in a bunch of other games. For my, I think is it snap? Do I have snap on? It's in the bottom right. Okay. A lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a of other different games. And there's a whole lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. A lot of different combinations in a bunch of other different. This. A lot of different combinations in a bunch of different games. Other different. Other different. Other different. A bunch of other different. It would be this section. A bunch of different combinations in a bunch of other different games. For my project, combinations in a bunch of other different games. Combinations in a bunch of other different games. Different combinations in a bunch of other different games. Combinations in a bunch of other different games. Okay. I just need to make sure everything's still lined up past that point. 3 inputs, like this. Let's name this extra button EX punch. Let's name this extra button EX punch. Okay, I think everything else past this point is fine. Can I select all past the point? Okay. The remaining thing is stock footage and stock footage, I think. Yeah, so stock footage, I need at least TLDR. Useage, drive, Roman, cancel, Street Fighter 6 grab. Okay, and then other things I could do like moon, anything in Melty, drive, something else. Okay, so let's save that. That's great. That's good. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'm not done for later, I believe. Alright, I am back. Okay. What are some minor adjustments to the final video that I can make that might make sense? Um, as well as like thinking of the title, and then probably thumbnail would just be the text managing inputs for fighting game. Speaking of which, I don't have the word fighting game on there. Inputs. I may want to add some text about not a full input system. That requires another video. Hello and welcome to the video on explaining how to manage inputs for fighting games. A few of the prerequisites are you know what a fighting game is, you have an interest in fighting games, and if you are trying to code this yourself, you have an existing input system. And this video is not going to be explaining on how to take in that data. When we look at existing fighting games and look at the inputs lists in training mode, we usually see that there's only one direction being pressed each frame. Otherwise, they will. Is there a better way to do this with Caden? I might as well learn this now. How to select all past a point in Kden live. It means um, existing fighting games and look at the inputs lists in training mode, we usually see that there's only one direction being pressed each frame. Otherwise, they will be unexpected behavior. These 9 directions are down left, down right, left, no input, right, up left, up right. However, let's see, there's definitely something I said stock footage somewhere. Insert stock footage of gameplay with motion inputs. That's why that gap was around. Okay. Just save that. Okay. What is the possible next thing? I can think of some thumbnails, but since this is like a software thing, what do we do for software thumbnails? Let me look at people on YouTube who have done software stuff. I was about to be afraid. That's just not live. YouTube game dev games. Wait, isn't this guy who's like made a ton of money in 2 weeks? I don't remember. Let me go like tutorial. Because this is probably similar. Mm, no, yeah, they just have like some art. 20. It says give up now. Wow. What 20 tips do you have in here? And why is it all give up now? They also are sponsored by Brilliant. Mm, isn't this like the entirety of just fighting game people? I guess that's an image option. Hmm. Just looking at thumbnails, trying to see what makes a ton of sense to me. Let me do godot tutorial on and then 100 seconds. Big text with a bit of code and stuff. What else is there? Big text, a little bit of code. You know, sure, I guess. I guess I can put my um, self on the thumbnail to identify my channel or something. So for the thumbnail, I also should change the channel icon. Pixie, this can be closed. Yes. Can I change my channel icon right now? Um, YouTube Studio channel. No, that's my channel. I want to change settings, channel. Um, I feel like I'm gonna enter a danger zone at some point, so just wait up. Okay, I found it. It's on the customization. So, yep. Change files, hobby, art. It would be here, stream assets. This has been updated and changed. Yep. I now have a face on here. Amazing. Publish this change. It's been updated. And it's inverted here, because of course it is. Anyways, view channel. Ta-da! Everything renders terribly. Yeah, no, that's just the thing with this. Okay. Yo, it's been updated. Epic. Uh, okay. Thanks for the information. Start creating new. What is the ratio? What is the? It's 16 by 9, I think, right? 16 by 9. Preserve aspect ratio, and then go to like 128? No, 180. That is incorrect. File, edit, select, Image resize canvas. Now preserve aspect ratio. Okay. Screen ratios. 16:9. Okay. Okay. Change this to 256. And I am upset severely. Okay. Calculator 180. 1080 divide by 16. Okay, and then times 9. 607 size canvas. That feels right. Actually, I can just check the display size. Nine 20 by 180. 16 by 9. 1920. Okay. Open file. Image, download, folders. Copy, YouTube. No. Mark not speaking. No, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to place it then. Oh, come on. It literally was recent. Not speaking or speaking. Great, wonderful, epic. Can I please move it? Thank you. Anyways, that's just better. This layer, grab the fill tool, adjustments. Moves viewport, rotates viewport, blurs part of your image, sharpens part of your image, smudges part of your image, makes pixels brighter or darker, zooms viewport. I'm not on that layer. Yeah. Okay. This does not have there. Probably because I need to, do something about it by rasterizing it. Fine, rasterize. This is the one I wanted to see. Is it doing anything? It eventually gets the light, which is neat. Does it darken? I have a trillion layers that I don't need. Add a new layer. I want to see what this does. And painting. Fill in all of this with black. This should be on top. Cool. Anyways, then I want to draw on it with some like red. Cool. I want this on a new layer. Smart layer. Okay. Then I want to see it's a new tool. If I spam it, eventually gets to white. If I... Oh, nice. Blending brush, what is it? So that's neat. Brightness. You? Control to make it darker, okay. That's just making it like between black and white. Hmm. I don't know, man. Anyways, E for eraser, which thankfully it is. 1000 or 100, that's fine. Goodbye. Thumbnail, text. Let's put some text on this thing. T-E-X-T. Center that. Center this. The text. I'd like to go to the text tool. I'd like to click on the text. I'd like to change the color to white. Tint of blue. Just enough to make it slightly noticeable, I guess. Especially compared to the white. Uh, then the font size. Where is that font? That is my question. The font is called Z003. Z. I'll do it in the other one. And I'll do it in Caden because maybe. It only needs to be a thumbnail, so why the hell do I need to do it in Caden? I need this. Title clip. Text alignment. Size. 200. Center. Capitalize managing. The inputs. Rating name. Okay. Okay, title. Capture it. Save this. But also delete all the text and the text layer. Delete that text layer. Base layer. This is the new base layer. File. Save as YouTube.tv is not the thing. Art. Well, new folder, assets. And then name this thing. Okay. Then, no, I want to file, open file, this screenshot that we just made. And then I want to, is there a better way to make that not tiny? Yes, there is. Can I please move this thing? Better. Okay. File, export as thumbnail background. No, desktop folder, copy YouTube, work in process vids. Just save it there. I need to figure out what the heck I'm gonna do. You know, this, did it crash or did it actually save it there? Please. Hmm. Hmm. That's just the line. Mostly. Gonna. Okay. Save. File. Export. Do the same thing. Overwrite it. Replace. Close. And then I will answer here. Alright. Bye bye. I'll record the things and upload the video hopefully today.